Richard Allen Young, Is God a Vegetarian? Christianity, Vegetarianism, and Animal Rights, published by Open Court, 1999. Excerpts. The title of the book is designed to lead us into the discussion. The title, of course, is not intended literally, since Christians do not perceive of God as eating food, nor is it intended as a projection of what we want God to be like, that is, to make God in our image. A Christian concept of God must be shaped by the Christian scriptures. Rather, the title is a questioning metaphor that probes into the very being of God. What is God like? Is not the God of the Bible a God of love, justice, and peace, who would never kill to satisfy selfish desires, who sides with the oppressed, and who would like us to live at peace without killing and war? If this is how we understand and experience God, then what metaphor best expresses that in today's context? It would be analogous to the question, is God a mighty fortress? How did Luther and David before him come to understand God as a fortress? Was it not by experiencing God as a shield against all foes? The questions we must ask are, how do we experience God today? And what symbol or model meaningfully expresses our experiences in light of our contemporary social location? We should note that vegetarianism is more than a diet. It is an orientation to life that encompasses love, justice, peace, and wholeness. As with all analogies, there will be similarities and differences. A vegetarian is one who abstains from eating animal flesh. This includes beef, pork, mutton, fish, and poultry. The term vegetarian dates back to the early 1840s. Before that time, those who abstained from animal flesh were called Pythagoreans, flesh abstainers, or non-meat eaters. The word sometimes gives the impression that only vegetables are eaten. Vegetarians, however, partake of a wide variety of foods, such as grains, vegetables, legumes, fruits, berries, seeds, nuts, dairy products, eggs, and honey. The environmental movement of the 1970s gave rebirth to vegetarianism. Modern vegetarianism has grown from a radical counterculture fad into a mainstream practice of Western society. Increasing numbers of people are realizing the environmental, ethical, and implications of a meatless diet. Nevertheless, there is a large segment of the population that remains rather fixed in its meat-eating tradition. Among this number are most Bible-believing Christians, some of whom are even antagonistic toward vegetarianism. Anyone who has ever attended a church dinner is well aware that the typical fare is anything but vegetarian. Biblical Christianity and vegetarianism seem worlds apart. After all, did not God give humans dominion over the animals to use them as they wish? Genesis 1:28. Did not God permit humans to eat the flesh of animals after the flood? Genesis 9:3. Did not God command sacrifices to be offered and allow the people to eat the meat? For many Christians, the decisive point regarding the issue of vegetarianism is that Jesus not only ate fish, Luke 24:42-43, but also multiplied the loaves and fish so all could eat. To top it off, Paul fully endorses the eating of meat and condemns those who advocate vegetarianism, 1 Timothy 4:1-3. It would appear that the Bible unquestionably sanctions a meat-eating diet. Why, then, does the author of Genesis have God prescribing a vegetarian diet to Adam and Eve in the garden? Genesis 1:29. Why do the apocalyptic visions of Isaiah and John depict the restoration of peace and harmony in creation, along with an implied vegetarian diet? According to the biblical narrative, our roots and destiny are grounded in vegetarianism. Since the biblical story is bracketed on both ends with visions of creation peace, it seems incongruous for Christians to be indifferent toward vegetarianism. Does meat eating represent a departure from the hope of creation harmony that God placed in the hearts of the biblical writers? There is no question that there are two conflicting dietary motifs in Scripture. I would like to suggest that we must respect both sets of voices and let them be heard within their own social location, something not often done. My approach is to listen to the entire story rather than appealing to selected proof text. The Bible is primarily narrative, that is, it tells a story about a people struggling with their identity and with how to relate to God and others. It tells of a journey over some rather rough terrain, with some pilgrims bogging down along the way, others taking detours with killing, wars, and the like. In other words, there are many stories within the story. However, arising out of the diversity is a general orientation to guide pilgrims on their travels. First, as we work through the biblical story, we will find directional markers emerging from the text that serve as pointers for the journey, such as peace, community, resurrection, compassion, renewal, and the imitation of God. Second, as we enter and participate in the direction of the narrative, we find that our inner character and disposition become shaped by the story. A narrative bids us to enter and participate. Enlightened Christianity avoids the immature legalism that would demand vegetarianism and replaces it with a mature faith that allows freedom to participate in God's narrative and to grow in conformity to the image of God by nurturing virtues. The genius of Christianity is that it is beyond law as a legalistic observance, but not without law as an inward disposition of a regenerate heart informed by the Word and Spirit. The observation that the Gospels have Jesus eating fish lessens neither the spiritual nor ethical reasons for Christian vegetarianism. For Christians are followers of the crucified and risen Christ. To confess the risen Christ is to testify of the present possibility of a new kind of existence for all creation, an existence without war, oppression, exploitation, and unnecessary killing. Christian vegetarianism is a protest against such abuses and a testimony of the cosmic reconciliation available through the transforming power of the risen Christ.